In this week's astrology, we have a tidal wave of energy. Some aspects are like tiny baby waves where you can still hold your cocktail, be in the water, and enjoy your day at the beach, while other aspects can knock that drink over and you have to go back to shore so you can pour yourself another drink. So there's a lot of shifting and flowing of energy, not necessarily planets moving from sign to sign like we had the week before, but aspects that are very active. So let's start with Tuesday, because that's when we see one of the planets forming a square, and that's Mercury forming a square with Chiron. Now, last week we had Venus sextiling Chiron, which was the opportunity. And as you guys remember, I suggested that we do some heart work, some heart-centered meditations, and also releasing of any blockages in regard to love and money. Well, this week, if we did some of that and we haven't fully healed from it, we might experience that words can hurt, that words can injure, but at the same time, words can also heal. So when we have Mercury and Chiron squaring, it's a little tough, and there could be some miscommunication, especially when you're talking about matters of the heart, because we have Mercury in a heart-centered sign like Cancer, and Chiron is in Aries, which is a head-centered sign. So one person may not necessarily understand the message, and they might process it more logically and feel hurt about the delivery of the message because the message was not to their understanding. They were more in their head. Vice versa, it could be the other way around, where someone delivers the message and feelings get hurt because it was too blunt or not enough like wishy-washy tippy-toeing around the subject, because Cancer energy is much more gentle. Remember that crabs walk sideways, so they tend to kind of go around the subject a little. So like that, they're cautious, and they're also caring about how they're going to say things and do things, versus Aries is bam, blah, blah, blah. And after they're like, what? I did nothing wrong. I just told you how I felt. So be very mindful of that energy, because that is how we start off the week. So the good part is that we can heal. Now, we might not enter into situations where we feel like that, but we might feel a little bit more sensitive when it comes to talking about some of these things, and maybe tear up a little bit easier. Not necessarily because of this aspect, it's because of another aspect that's happening, but it's already in orb. So we're going to kind of feel, that's why I gave you that analogy of the waves and little waves coming in, because they're all kind of working together this week. So it is tricky energy when it comes down to communication. So the best advice I could give you is really think things through before you say something. You don't have to do this with everything you say, more things that are connected to matters of the heart. So like that, the message is clear, concise, and gentle at the same time. And guess what? You're human. If you happen not to do that and you do get yourself in a situation where either your feelings got hurt or you hurt someone else's feelings, there's still a chance to repair the relationship. So there's always a chance to be accountable for anything that we did and try our best to harmonize the situation. Now on Wednesday, we have pretty big things happening with the full moon. But right before the full moon, we have a trine from Venus to Saturn. I love Venus-Saturn aspects. And the reason being because Saturn brings longevity, and Venus is so lighthearted, connected to love and luxury and pleasures and money. So when we tie in both of those meanings, we can see long-lasting love, projects that are more lucrative and provide more financial security, etc. Now, this aspect crystallizes anything or any situations that involve money, love, and especially career matters, because that is what Saturn rules. It rules career and achievements and your legacy. It's also an aspect that displays true healing and the maturity that comes with this new level of healing. So there's different levels of healing, and there's times that we experience healing. However, there might still be some residue inside, and maybe when the matter comes up again or something similar comes up, you get triggered. Well, we did do some healing, right? Because we were not hurt about the situation. We can still live life and continue. But whenever a similar situation arose or something brought up that scenario again, you got your feelings hurt. Maybe your eyes got watery, or your heart, you get those feelings inside of your heart, or that gut feeling of like, oh, I don't like how this feels. And that's usually because there's still more healing to be done, but that doesn't mean you didn't heal. The Venus trine Saturn, it usually brings healing, and it's long lasting healing, like forever type of healing. Scenarios that are either dealt with or completed, cycles that are completed around this time, really bring a new level of maturity, because Saturn crystallizes those emotions, and then we're able to really purge them out of our system. We're able to really release them and let them go, and really no longer live in that vibration of hurt or pain or shame or fear. So this is why I love Venus trine Saturn aspect, because even though Saturn does kind of reign in and makes all the love and money matters and things like that a little bit more serious, it also awakens these situations to be dealt with in a more mature fashion, so like that you're able to truly heal and not have any lingering residue. Now, this aspect is great for starting new ventures that you want to either have a long-lasting effect, meaning you start a project that you feel that you're going to continue to work on for a longer period of time. Maybe this is something that you feel is going to be a staple around the work that you do, etc. Or it's also great to restart anything that you had started with before with a lot of zest and enthusiasm, and then slowly you lost interest, but in the back of your head, you've always been thinking about that project or that vacation that you needed to take and plan and that you didn't, or the job that you needed to apply to, and you just never got to revamping or submitting your resume. So this is the time that you can do it, because Venus trine Saturn will bring long-term results. So anything born under this aspect can assist you. Now, there's other things going on which kind of contradict this a little, but because Saturn is in his rulership and he only transits Aquarius every 28 to 30 years, and he stays in that sign for about 2.5 years, we're not going to have this aspect of Saturn to Venus repeated again in the same harmonious dignity. And Venus doesn't rule the sign of Gemini, but it does do great in the sign of Gemini. We even have the Lovers card that correlates to Gemini, and I strongly believe that the number one ingredient in a relationship is communication. And it's no surprise, since all the relationship houses are naturally ruled by air signs. But this is something in society that we tend to not prioritize, and we feel that love and passion and more of the touchy-feely type of communication versus actual good communication, like talking and respecting each other, is valued more. So we value more of the hugs and kisses, and we don't prioritize great communication, friendships within romantic relationships. So this is why I like this aspect. Now, on that same day, when we have the full moon, the moon is highly, highly emotional, but this is more of a hardening of emotions. So remember, there's emotions where we're sensitive and we cry. There's emotions where we're suppressing anger, or we're feeling shame, or we're feeling abandonment, right? There's different types of emotions. So just because the moon is in Capricorn doesn't mean it's not emotional, but it's definitely emotional. So during the full moon, it's at 21 degrees in Capricorn, and the sun is at 21 degrees in Cancer. I really feel that these moons in Capricorn have been tough because Pluto has been transiting Capricorn. Now they're coming to an end. We only have a few more years for Pluto to hang out in the sign of Capricorn, and the full moon in Capricorn will be felt quite different. But it's not this year. This year we still have the moon next to Pluto, and it's really, really emotional. It's also controlling the sun, and the ruler of the chart is Saturn, because Saturn is ruling the moon, and because the moon rules the sun, it all goes back to Saturn, and Saturn is retrograde. So it's really hitting internally and very deeply, because we have that energy of Pluto. This could be matters of feeling like your life is out of control, or you're also experiencing control or empowerment or disempowerment issues. That doesn't mean that it's going to be a really bad expressed moon, but the power theme will be there. So you can either feel very empowered to take action, or you'll feel disempowered and quite hurt, because you'll end up internalizing instead of expressing, which later on is going to cause you to either implode or say things not in such a great manner. Remember, we started off the week with Mercury squaring Chiron, and during the full moon, Mercury is still in orb. It's separating from the square to Chiron, so our words can still hurt, or others can hurt us. So just really take it easy that day. There's other things happening during the full moon as well that are positive, and one of them being is that the sun in Cancer is actually forming a trine to the south node in Scorpio, and the moon in Capricorn is actually forming a trine to the north node in Taurus. So we have both of the transiting luminaries trining, and then they're also sextiling, because the north node sextiles the sun and the south node sextiles the moon. And this is great for working through any karmic situations, ending of karmic cycles. And this is positive because this is positive destiny evolution. So the actions or situations that we experience during this time are actually going to be something that is needed to really utilize that Venus trine Saturn energy, which is heal without residue. Heal from within and no longer leave anything lingering behind. So the nodes of destiny are definitely supporting this lunation. And in turn, they're also aspecting Pluto. Now, Pluto in regard to orb is a little, he's getting further from it, but because the moon is so close to Pluto, it really does rein in that energy, brings in the Plutonian energy, and Pluto is the secondary ruler of the south node. So these things can be maybe felt very deeply and maybe can arise some type of pain or disempowerment. Because Pluto is there, we're going to purge this quickly. Now, there's another aspect which is causing a bigger wave. This is where we get that big wave that kind of knocks your cocktail. And this is a square from Venus to Neptune. They're forming a square in mutable signs of Gemini and Pisces. And this aspect is notorious for blurring, especially anything connected to matters of the heart and money matters as well. So whenever we have Neptune squaring anything, things can get quite confusing. This can also blur very painful situations where we're kind of like bottling up the pain and not necessarily having healthy boundaries, and we're kind of overloading our system. It can cause people to express themselves in a way that is like uncontrollable, where you feel super emotional, you want to cry, you're very sensitive, and that is the first sign that you, my dear, need a spiritual bath. If you are finding that this week is getting to you that way, and I love myself a good cry. I am a native with the sun in Pisces, so I love crying. I really do feel that crying is the way that I can express my emotions and release them healthily from my body and my aura. But at the same time, I do not like to be a cry baby. So if I'm just crying for like no reason at all, and I'm getting super emotional over topics or things that I heard that usually don't get to me that way, then I know that's a sign that my system is overwhelmed. And this is a perfect aspect for that. It will overwhelm your system. So make sure you take that salt bath during this week. You can add whatever crystals you want, but I would definitely add a very gentle crystal. So like that, something like before you put in the salt, I would add maybe a moonstone or a pearl. You can wear even your pearl ring, if you have one, and then kind of soak in that water without the salt. The minute you're ready to add the salt, remove the stone just so you can still preserve the integrity of the stone, because salt, it can be a little harsh for the stone itself. So another great one is amethyst. I love amethyst for this, first because it brings up your spirits. So that's another stone that I would use, and rose quartz. So you could actually combine those three, and that's like a great love potion for you there. But going back to the aspect, this aspect triggers matters of the heart. So that's going to be the theme with this aspect. It's really a time to balance logic and intuition. And I hear this a lot, even with relationships, like I knew something was off, or I felt this was off, or I knew this was going to happen. Yet we ignored the signs and we continued in the same situation. So this is the time to really make those attempts to logically either contemplate or journal. Like, you could even do this as dialogue in your head, or you can take out a piece of paper or your journal if you keep one and say, why is it that this happens when this happens? Why is it that I'm feeling triggered, right? Why is it that I feel like I'm not communicating correctly? Or why do I feel like I'm in a relationship but I feel so empty, we're not going anywhere? Whatever it is matters. Or why is it that money is not staying? I attract it and it just flows out. What's happening? Like, think of it logically, and don't try to find the answer. Don't try to find the answer logically. What you're trying to do is you're just trying to think of these ideas and brainstorm and write down whatever comes to you, but don't take that as the answer. After that, go and take that bath and sit in meditation there, and you'll see that your intuition will answer you. Now, that this is not a time to really take action on that intuitive message. You want to write it down as, this is the answer that I got while I was in meditation, or while I was relaxed, while I was purging things out and really letting all my emotions out. So then later, when this aspect settles down and Venus goes into the sign of Cancer, you can actually tune into the heart center, and that's going to happen next week. You can tune into the heart center and really make sense of what you got. So this aspect can drain your energy. So get plenty of sleep, and I'd meditate a little extra this week. If you don't meditate already, this is a great week to start to. This is also a great week to connect or bring in breath work and meditation and water and grounding, because we're pulling in so many elements because of the aspect this week. We have the Capricorn earth, right? And then we have water in Cancer. We have air in Venus squaring another water sign. So we want to include all of that to kind of harmonize, because remember, without any of the elements, we wouldn't exist. So we all need to coexist. Air, fire, earth, water. We need all the elements to actually coexist. We take away air, no, we're not here. We take out water, the earth doesn't exist, right? So you're getting my point. We have to balance out the energy within us, because we are universes living our own personal experience, and we're co-living and we're co-creating. So yes, we're also sharing an experience with others, but ultimately we're in charge of ourselves, our lives, our temple. Now, the other great aspect is after the full moon, we kind of start like releasing and shifting the energy, and we form a 18-degree sextile from Mercury and Uranus. This is going to help amplify with the channeled messages. This is a great aspect to talk to the divine and also tap into energy. This is great to go get a Reiki healing. This is great to get attuned to Reiki. This is great to do any type of energetic cleansing. This is an amazing aspect because it starts bringing information from the divine, from God source, from Christ, whatever it is that you believe in. It just brings it in, and you start getting so much clarity. Now, this happens after this full moon. It's still something that is active during the full moon, because the aspect is forming, but it's not exact. It happens after the full moon. So grab your journal this day and continue to write out anything that comes up with the questions that you asked while Venus was squaring Neptune. You may find that the answers that you get during this time are very clear and concise and just perfect, because this is exactly what you needed at this time. There's a time for everything. And maybe before you were getting the messages, but you were not really processing them and receiving them. Well, with this aspect, you'll definitely process them. Can also cause a tad bit of nervous energy, overstimulation of the mind. So breath work can also take care of that. And then we finish off the week with a beautiful aspect. And this is Mercury forming a conjunction to the sun at 24 degrees in Cancer. And this is a Cazimi aspect. This is divine inspiration and increased intuition, because we're talking about the energy of Cancer here. And during this aspect, our mind is lit, because this is a Hellenistic aspect where through the cycle of Mercury, where he's not visible in the sky because the sun is combusting the view of the sky. Remember, astrology is sky-based, what we see in the sky, what they saw in the sky before software. So matters of Mercury were hindered, and this goes into the flow of abundance, communication, partnerships, siblings. And this is another reason why a lot of siblings have issues, and it's because if their Mercury in their chart is badly placed, which in Hellenistic astrology Mercury was noticed to mostly be combusted, not visible. There's very few times that Mercury is visible in the sky. So this meant that everything that Mercury rules, like siblings, communication, flow of abundance, sales, marketing, merchants, travel, local travel, children in general, it would suffer. These things that Mercury rules will suffer, and it's because Mercury is being swallowed up by the sun's rays. Well, it changes when it's Cazimi, but not everyone has this aspect. Most of us have an injured Mercury of some sort. So this can also display, like I was mentioning earlier, with relationships such as siblings, where a lot of siblings are raised to love each other and respect each other. And I'm not saying everyone's raised the same way, because situations are also that's not the case. But I know in my household, we were raised to respect each other, love each other, and we still do, but we definitely have some differences. My Mercury has a square from Neptune, so there's always been a lot of miscommunication with my siblings, which whenever I see Mercury battered in the sky, then I try to make sure I'm not talking about deep topics with my siblings, because we're not going to be on the same page. I also am very careful with the things that I say, how I say things, because it can affect my flow of abundance. So I am mindful of that because of that reason. Well, when it's Cazimi, guess what? It's totally different. During this time that Mercury sits in the throne of the king, all that, even if it's combust, because it's literally in the center of the sun, then what that means is that Mercury is getting guidance from the sun. It's a new reprogramming. And the chart that shows when this exact moment happens talks about how the Cazimi is going to be expressed on a mundane level. Now, if you have any planets between, let's see, 20 degrees Cancer all the way to 29 degrees of Cancer, then you're definitely going to feel this energy. And if it's a conjunction, it's much more powerful. If you have a trine or a sextile, you'll also benefit greatly. But even an opposition or a square, so that's going to be any planets between 20 degrees to 29 degrees in Pisces and also in Scorpio, they're going to benefit from this Cazimi. And any planets in the earth signs like Taurus and Virgo have the sextile, and the opposition is felt by Capricorn. So planets in Capricorn between those degrees, and the squares are felt by Libra and Aries. So even though it's a square or an opposition, it's still bringing in very active energy, but the more supportive ones are the conjunction, the trine, and the sextiles. So this is a time that you can work on projects that are coming in with divine guidance. This is a time that you can take action on either applying for a position, or maybe you have children that are getting ready to move out because they're starting college. This is a great time to start setting all the logistics for that. You'll see that it runs more smoother, and also the breakaway is much more softer. So it's a great aspect to do many, many things. This is considered one of the luckiest days of the year, and this Cazimi doesn't happen often. And then from there, we also have on the same day that Mercury is forming a Cazimi to the sun, we have Mercury and the sun making a trine to Neptune. So even though Neptune was making a square to Venus, this turn, by the end of the week, if we did some of that work, if we did our spiritual bath and we cleansed and we did all that, we're going to see that our spirits are high, that we changed how we feel inside, from the inside, and we really released a lot of things that were weighing us down, and you're going to feel much more lighter spiritually, energetically. This is a great aspect for just indulging in the arts, in beauty, in music, and meditating. This is actually a great one. If you've been wanting to meditate, this is a great aspect to do it, because you'll find such a connection to the energy of love that you'll end up loving meditation. And I love meditation. I meditate at least 15 minutes every day, and that's at least. So most days my average is 45 minutes. So whenever I like my day gets more busy, it's at least those 15 minutes. I also offer a free meditation course. If you guys are interested, just head on over to, either if you're catching this on YouTube, it's going to be in the links in the bio, or in this description. If you're catching this on Instagram, there's a link in my bio, and on the podcast I'll put those same links in the description, so you guys can head on over. And I have a free mini course that teaches you how to meditate, and I take you through a few days of meditation. And that is the end of the forecast. As you can see, it's a very watery and wavy, energetic week with a lot of potential. It's not all fluffy and bubbly, but there is a lot of great aspects and a lot of momentum within the week that we can really make some great things happen for us. And I just want to thank you so much for listening to my work and supporting me on any of the platforms you follow me. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Your energetic exchange is much appreciated. Thank you for supporting the work that I love to do. And don't forget to catch me live on IG when I go live with Kathy from the Healing Gem, and I host Astro Talk, Ask the Astrologer, where every week is different. Sometimes I go through the zodiac signs, we interact with the audience, and we answer people's questions. So check us out. We're on there on a weekly basis, and I hope to see you soon. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Love and light. Take care. Bye-bye.